So I had two experiences. You may have heard one of them. That really helped to initiate me to my capacity in this realm, which is a nervous system capacity. So that's why I'm such a huge believer of getting the foundations, I call it the chopping wood, carrying water of your nervous system, rehab and recovery and restoration and regeneration under your belt through some sort of a health protocol. Obviously, I'm biased towards my own Vital Mind Reset. And then to begin this work, because this isn't just a will based. I am going to commit and choose to do deep shadow work. If your nervous system can't hold those states yet, you won't do it, or you will recruit a self-flagellating part that says, why are you not able to do this? What are you, a coward? So one of the instances was with my daughter. I was inspired to ask my daughters two questions that I had been really asking myself in reparenting exercises that I was engaged in. And one of them is, what do you need that I am not offering you right now? And the other was, what did I ever do in the past to hurt you that you still feel hurt around now when you think about it? And my daughters shared with me their feedback. In one particular case, my daughter's feedback, which she shared in written form, thankfully, because it gave me the opportunity to really alchemize a lot of the emotional material before I sat down with her. But one of the points of feedback that she provided me was about our shared history and her childhood. And here I am, like so many of us women, thinking I am ending all of these cycles of abuse and trauma in my mother line. And I've been so committed for so many years to my spiritual integration and personal empowerment and expansion. And I'm just doing things so differently than they were ever done for me. And what I encountered in her feedback, which is essentially her memory of a particular moment of our history with my larger family of origin. And she essentially painted me as the villain and said that she remembers me being selfish and mean. And here I am thinking of my version of the story. I am the hero in this same story that she's recollecting. And when I read that from her, the part of me that was very attached to her appreciation of my efforts as a mother was exposed. And one of the ways that you can be sure that you were doing something always for yourself, which is, of course, in my philosophy, why we do every single thing. One of the ways you can know that you were always doing it for yourself is that if somebody doesn't appreciate what it is that you did for them, you're enraged or resentful or disappointed or hurt. That means you were doing it for a tacit exchange that they did not consent to, and it was always for you. It was always so you could get that thing, right? So that was smoked out for me right then and there, because she didn't appreciate my mothering excellence, my mothering efforts. And here I was, a failure. And to fail at mothering has very deep implications for most of us. It's not an easy one to just sort of walk off. So for me, I also saw that I had linked my success in mothering with much of my life purpose. And here she was robbing me of my life purpose. So essentially, I was able to see the ways in which I was still interacting with my children as narcissistic extensions. And I can do a future podcast on this. I wrote an article on emotionally immature parents and how it is that many of us in our generation would like to think we are resolved. And there's still probably a lot of those stigmata visible. So I was able to see how I needed her to conform to certain expectations of mine in order for me to feel like a good mom, which was essential to my sense of safety, my sense of self-identity. So I wept, sobbed over this, and was able to really allow that part to experience the failure that the other parts were protecting her against, that failure that was already in there, that belief that was already being held. And so all of these protector parts are trying to keep me from ever feeling that degree of failure through self-defensiveness and rationalization and continued efforting. So I moved through this and I recognized, oh, here's the poetry of it, is that actually this is my opportunity to not fail. And here it is. This is the opportunity to not fail. And when I sat down with her to talk more about this, I was able to say those magic words, tell me more. Tell me more. I want to know more about your experience, more of what it was like. And I was able to validate and empathize with what it was apparently like for her at that time in our shared experience. And there was, of course, that defensive protector that was saying, well, but she needs to understand what really happened. She needs to know what happened. And because I have grown the capacity through micro titration and small practices of holding the sensation of my incompletely held reality. So all of the dangers that come with recognizing I'm in the presence of somebody who cannot and will not honor my reality. Except now it's my kid. I am the adult. Right? Could I hold that part of me and soothe that part of me and honor that part of me and recognize and validate that part within me that was saying, this is not fair. This is horrible. She doesn't get it. I have to try, to make her see. Remembering, of course, that as a kid, I didn't give a shit what my parents' story was. I didn't care why they were doing what they were doing. It couldn't have been less relevant to my experience. I was interested in my story. And I was able to remember that and channel that and visit with her experience and listen. And I did not offer one word of, this is what I think happened. I hear you, but, here's what really went down. I didn't. And so now on the record is her story. And that's when I was able to see it's not actually about, in many cases, the narrative. This was all about an opportunity for her to assess how safe I am as a parent. How much room is there in this connection for her to have a different reality and specifically a different narrative about me, and one that doesn't look so hot, one that does not frame me in the light that I prefer. And after that point, from my experience, our relationship entirely changed. And there was affection and togetherness and openness and trust that came online that somehow came from my being characterized in this really shitty way. How could that possibly come from that place? Well, because if I can wear the villain crown, it means that it's not her job to make sure that I don't. It's not her job to caretake the part of me that is terrified of wearing that villain crown, which is how she becomes the narcissistic extension, where it's her job to maintain my self-concept. So that was very, very empowering, very difficult example. That has also helped. It's taken the piss out of being wrong and doing the shitty thing as a mom.